Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Sarah's View of Life right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. So I really contemplated what to talk about this week. And 6 days is the USA, because I record a week before the show comes out, is the election in the United States. And I've spoken to quite a number of people in the States about their views and their understanding why they're coming to the decision they're making. And I've learned that there are so many people, especially on the other side, that are not following the facts or following the news, have bought into snippets of out of context comments and not looked at the bigger picture. And although this show comes out the day of the election and won't have any impact on how people vote, I do ask that people do look at the facts and not the sensational titles. When somebody says something demeaning or damning or cruel about someone else, I think we owe it to, instead of just buying it carte blanche, look at, is this true? If they said that or did that, is it true? What caused it? Because there's always two sides to a coin. There's always another story. How did this come about? And I think we've got so much sensationalized by, knee-jerk reactions to a statement that we're not going deeper and looking at the fact. Now, I know politics sucks. It's so hard to choose nowadays, but very often it's the kind of the lesser evils or the person that's more qualified or the person you feel will get more done rather than popularity contest. And I think a lot of this is reflective in our own lives. We haven't got to where we have in politics without it reflecting back on our society norm. And the norm has come to be snippets. We're living life on snippets. Instagram, it's instant. TikTok, just a few moments of whatever. And we are not looking at depth, full content, understanding all sides. And we have become knee-jerk reactioners. And I think that we need to really look at this, not only, in our voting way, but also in looking at how we conduct ourselves in our lives. Are we knee-jerking? Are we responding to something sensationalism? Have we bought into the hysteria, that negative energy? Or can we pause, take a deep breath and go, is this true? Is this fact? Do I want to buy into this? Or am I just, climbing on the bandwagon? Do I want to do some research on this to find out if it is actually fact or true? Or do I simply want to walk away from the confrontation or the conflict or the sensationalization? And I think this is something that we need to look at in our own lives because we have become very much snippet people. We're headliners, as I call it, buy into the headline, but we don't read the content. And I think this everything instant and everything stimuli in the moment, and we're not looking at the depth of things anymore. We're not looking at the root. We're not looking at the cause. We're not looking at the substance or the context. We're just buying into a headline and assuming that we know everything from that headline. And I think it is time that we actually looked at things from all sides now and go a bit deeper and understand, is it true, right? If it is true, how did it come about? And what's the other side of the story? Now, there are some things that are just simply out of bounds. We do not bash people cruelly, demeaningly, vulgarly, or violently. out of bounds. So anybody saying that, anybody coming from that avenue is a no-go. You don't need to look into the depth or something of that because that's somebody with an angst. That's somebody who feels insecure in their own life. That is somebody that feels they have to pull someone else down to boost themselves up. And we don't feed that because we're feeding their insecurity, we're feeding their ego, and the more they will do it. So if there is that boundary of no, I'm not going there. Don't try it with me. I'm not interested. Then, perhaps they'll stop. They'll go and find someone else to dump on, I promise you. But this is your boundary. You have to set that boundary as to how far you will go and when no is no. I'm sorry. I'm not willing to talk about that person in that way, or please, would you refrain from talking that way? Because it's so easy to get on the bandwagon and start bashing someone, carte blanche, just because it makes you feel bigger. Um, Holding someone accountable. Accountability is everything. Because if we're not accountable for our words and our actions, where is our respect? Where is our dignity? Where is our honor? We are just not being accountable. Is they did it. They did it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. You didn't do it. Ah, they did it. And that is abstaining from that responsibility. And we need to take accountability. That doesn't mean that when we make a mistake or we say something out of turn, we are accountable for it because, okay, I'm sorry, I did not see it from that perspective. I was coming from this angle. Now I know more. I apologize for what I said, and I am more informed. But let's get informed. Let's get informed. As I said, we're buying information from X and TikTok and Instagram, which has no depth, no substance to it. Yes, I promote my shows on there, but it is an invitation to the substance. It's an invitation to the content deeply covered rather than just the headliners. I know that it's so easy to get hooked in on that. I go through social media and I'm a responder. I see something, I respond. I'm an encourager. I like to encourage people when they're on a journey. I'm a celebrator. I'll celebrate people in their celebrations. I like to support people in that way, but I'm also really intrigued on the journey of life and where they're going and what people's other perspectives are. And you can form a conversation on social media, not so much on Instagram or TikTok or any of those. Those are just purely in your face type things. Facebook and LinkedIn, threads perhaps, you can actually form a conversation. How did you come to that? Or I agree with that. No, I see it from this point of view. And you can have a dialogue that is respectful, inspirational, and invitational on, taking it further. But if it becomes a tirade of bashing, then for me on my social media, delete. That person is deleted immediately because I'm not there for that. I am there for accountability and responsibility. I am there to shake people up and say, can you not see the truth? Please take the wool from your eyes and see what is in front of you and look to your own compass, your own moral compass of, can I accept that? Is this what I stand for? Can I honestly, in all my integrity, stand up for that? Or should I abstain because really I cannot stand by it? Not if I wish to stand in my integrity. We see people being bullied at work, and many other people just turn a blind eye. Don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to lose their job. But imagine if everybody in that arena, whatever section of the company it is, decided to stand up to the bully and say, not acceptable, boss or not. I'm sorry, not acceptable. You've hired me for a job I will do. This is my boundary. Abuse I will not take. And if everybody stands up, it is that boss that has to change. Is he going to fire everyone? Well, if he does, off to the mediation you go and hold them accountable. Right? Hold them accountable. Just because they're in power doesn't mean we can't hold them accountable. Just because they hold the purse strings doesn't mean we can't hold them accountable. Everybody should be held accountable. And because you're in a place of power, that does not give you permission to treat other people abusively. Full stop. You are in a position of responsibility where you're meant to turn around and care and support and celebrate and encourage your workers, not demean them to make you feel bigger. The big egos out there, that's all your dictators and your dictator wannabes. They're big egos that ride on the backs of other people and, as I say, tear other people down to make themselves feel bigger. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people that follow these egos and think it's okay to do that. And they, in turn, in their own lives, start doing the same thing to other people around them. And then what do you have? You have a whole load of wounded people. What do wounded people do? They either retreat or become self-destructive, or they reach out and become violent in some way. So what have you incited? Fear, violence, anger, revenge, retaliation. There's always consequences for everything that we do. There's always consequences for every action that we take. Now, we can have these thoughts, and these thoughts can run around in our heads, but from the mouth and from our actions, what are we going to do? I think we need to desperately look at our own integrity, our own honor, our own self-respect, and go, how would I want to be treated? Because that is the way I will treat others. How do I want to be represented? So I will represent myself in that light. How will I care for others? I will stand up for others when they can't stand for themselves. That is self-integrity. That is your compass from which you work from. It ignites your heart into caring. And when you allow your heart to care, you truly do step up. Because how can you stand by and watch other people bashing other people and not say anything? See, to say, well, I didn't do that, I didn't join in, you participated. You participated by watching. You participated by having the camera on it. Recently, a few weeks ago, in Kamloops here in British Columbia, Canada, there was a young 13-year-old who was invited to a party by the beach. And she thought, oh, this is nice. They've invited me to a party. They're accepting me. And when she got there, a bunch of teens kicked her to the ground, broke her ribs, gave her concussion, while other people were cheering on and other people were filming. Is that acceptable? Absolutely not. Is that deplorable? Absolutely. Is that criminal? 100%. But where do they get the idea that it's okay to do that? The people that were filming and cheering on are just as much accountable as the person and the people that we're kicking. Where do they get the idea that that is okay? And that there isn't a price to pay. What was it about this girl? She was different. Just different. She wasn't like them. Not as popular as them. Bullies like to make themselves popular, and they do it by deriving fear. So they get people to join them. And they join them because they don't want to be the other side of them. If we don't stand up to the bullies and come together, arms locked in arm in arm, then that bully wins. I feel that we really have let our children down. And of course, in our Forgotten Children book, an anthology where a lot of people contributed the chapter on what is wrong in society today and how we need to put it back and how we need to support our children, how we need to change the system. Because for our children to go and do that, they must have thought it was okay. Well, when you're watching people at rallies demean, bash, abuse verbally other people, when you've got other people that threaten other people because they think differently and they're carrying weapons, what do you expect? We've given the green light to this abuse. because a politician has said it's okay to do so. That's all that comes from him, other than how adoring and sexy he is. So look to the person who's doing the bullying. Look to the person who's people bashing. Look to the person that's turned violent and realize that inside of them is a very small person, very insecure person that feels left behind and feels the only way they're going to get the attention is to go the other way. It's unfortunate. And somewhere along the line, we hope that they realize it's wrong and do the healing that they need to do from the inside out to become a better human being for themselves and everyone else around them. But it is up to them to take that journey. We can't take it for them. So, in the meantime, while they're riding this wave that, no, it's not me, it's them. They made me do it. Or I haven't done anything wrong. I just knocked a person out. If we're not willing to take accountability, if we're not willing to be responsible for our thoughts and actions, if we're not accountable for the words that we say and whom it hurts, then it says volumes about who we are as people, not the people you're bashing. It's always a reflection on the person who's dumping the garbage than the person that's receiving it. So we need to look to ourselves. No, I know it's very easy to get caught up in gossip. This person says, that person says. I know it's easy. I've done it in the past. But when it gets to the point that it really is hurtful, that really is harmful, and really is outright mean, then we need to rein it in and we need to look at, hey, I don't want to be a part of that. Let's stop. Let's stop. If we don't like that person, fair enough. But do you not like that person because somebody else has said they don't like that person? Or that person did something you didn't like? So really what you're doing is you don't like the act of what they did, but does that mean you have to dislike the person? You can have a conversation with the person. I really didn't like when you did such and such. Can you tell me why you did it? And maybe understanding, or maybe they were unaware they did it. But we shut people down and we tore and quarter them. We pass our judgment on them on an action without understanding why. We don't converse. We don't go deeper. We don't ask the questions. I like Don Rue's 4 agreements. Speak your word with integrity. Own it. Honor it. Do not assume. Assumption is so deadly. It leads down so many rabbit holes of wrong. Ask, inquire. Don't assume. Learn more. Don't assume. Look at the facts, the root cause. Don't assume. Oh gosh, I've forgotten what the other one is. Do your very best based on your best, right? Not measured by somebody else's. Do you really feel that you gave it your all today, right? And the other one is going to come to me in a moment because somehow it's just suddenly gone. Speak a word with integrity. Don't assume. Do your very best. And the other one will come in a moment. But they're codes that I like to live by because it's good to have a measure where you can check yourself. Am I responding to this? Am I responding to that? I moved to where I am 6 months ago. It's a community, and somebody had a coffee morning for me to be introduced to people. And, that person said, no, we don't associate with that person. They're different. Well, I'm different. And only maybe one person, well, maybe one or two have kind of spoken to me since then. Instead, I met somebody else who I've become good friends with. We're both going to go off and celebrate our 70th birthdays together. And it's all about you could be courteous and friendly, but not every tribe is going to be your vibe tribe, and that's okay. All right. And it's sometimes that diversity is really good, and sometimes you just want that common denominator because if you relax in it, and that's also good. But just don't paint the brush right? It's in this situation, it's not in that situation, it's okay. But always courtesy, always politeness, always consideration, right? Because that's the importance. Ah, I remembered what it is. Do not take things personally. If somebody says something to you and it just doesn't sit well with you, don't take it personally. Very often it's somebody else, their issue, something they're dealing with, that they say something to you. But it also could be coming from their understanding, their perspective. It doesn't sit well with you. Don't take things personally. Maybe you can talk about it. Maybe it's a situation you just let it go. It wasn't meant in malice, so don't assume the malice, right? Uh, and some people are hurting, and when they hurt, they kind of impose that hurt on other people. Many people attack other people because they're hurting as a way of offloading. That doesn't get rid of the hurt at all. You're just creating more hurt. So, where are we in the world? How many wars going on right now? How many? How many more to come? How many more people killing and killing and killing? You bomb me, I'm going to bomb you. You said this, I'm going to do that. You know, as human beings, the universe is begging us to evolve, begging us to step into a higher consciousness. Yet we still got very much entrenched as the Neanderthal way, the Neanderthal reaction inside of us. And I think that we need to let go of that. That was survival that was needed then. Now let's use our intellect. Let's use our voice. Let us stand up for the oppressed. Let us stand up for what is wrong. Let us speak out, but let us not lose our own integrity. Let us not lose the honor of our own representation. Let us not bring someone else down to boost ourselves up. Let us find our own equilibrium and self-love and self-like so that we don't need to do that. And when we see other people doing it, hold them accountable because it's wrong. We have so many wounded people in this world, so many people in trauma. I have an excellent book this week coming out from an author, Elizabeth Mayran, and she took the time to interview many people were either refugees or immigrants that came to the country. These people all around Portland, that's where she is. So they came to Portland. They've come from Rwanda and the genocide. They've come from Iraq. They've come from the Vietnam War. They've come from um, the Bosnian genocide. And they've lost family. They've lost everything. And it's not just the gratitude for a new start, but it was that this country's taken us in. And we're going to do everything we can to live up to that and be productive and be inclusive and share. And although the pain of what we what we left behind and the people that were slaughtered behind, uh, we will honor them in our own way, but we will not carry the trauma with us because we need to move forward and move forward in honor of them because we survived. And believe me, some of the stories that are in that book are just horrific. I really, think that it should be in every school, it should be every household, because we've become very complacent in North America. We've become very much, why me? Oh, I don't want to do that. I'm like, no, too much energy, too much bother. And that does not serve us at all. We are paying rent on this earth. That means that we need to look after Mother Earth and do our contribution. Every single one of us here is to contribute something of ourselves to the collective for the betterment of all kind here on this planet. And so, what are you contributing? And if you're a whiner, or if you're a moaner, if you're a person that just points fingers at people all the time, if you pull things down all the time instead of building them up, if you're not contributing something productive, positively productive, and you're only spewing out negativity, you are the problem. You are the issue. And you need to step up to your mirror and have a really good conversation. Am I pulling everyone else down, bashing everyone else to boost myself up? Or do I need to address this problem of why I'm so miserable? Misery loves company, and they'll go make as many other people as miserable as possible to keep them company, instead of taking on the responsibility of finding joy in their life, meaningful purpose, and self-love in their life, because that requires work, that requires diligence, that requires accountability and responsibility, and a journey to that self-love. And so many people don't want to take that journey because it's so much easier just to blame everyone else. So I don't know what's the outcome of this election is going to be in America. I very much hope it's blue, um, just because it's more common sense. I do believe that if the orange gets in, you are looking at severe decline in America. Um, Either way, there is going to be some sort of revolution and kickback. Be prepared for it, because there are people that have been wound up for so long, that at some point that spring is going to snap. And we're just like you saw on January 6th, we're going to see something else happen, incited by. So please, folks, please do your job. So we all need to do our job, whether it's a job on self, on, why do I react this way? Am I feeling wounded that I want to impose the wound? Am I, person of joy that only gives joy to joyful people instead of feeding the people that need the joy? Again, let's look at ourselves. Let's have a good long look at ourselves. What are we doing? How are we reacting? And do we want to be a part of the problem in anyone's life, in our own lives, or do we want to be part of the solution? And that means that we need to take a good long hard look at ourselves, why we react the way we do. What are we going to do about it? How are we going to heal? And how are we going to become part of the healers through our own self-love and meaningful purpose? So as I said, I have no idea what's coming in. I do hope, though, that common sense prevails. But this is most certainly a call for reflection of us to look at ourselves. Why do things like Nazism step in? Why do dictators get people to do things like in Rwanda, 1 million people killed in 10 days, very often by people that they sat in the same church with? How did they get those people to come out and machete people to death and know and feel that it was okay? What buttons did they press in that person for them to go and do these atrocities? Because one day they're perfectly all right, next day they're out there doing that. What push buttons, right? So everybody has a button that can push, that can lead us up into fear and hysteria. And we have to understand there are puppeteers out there that are pulling the fear strings to manipulate people into believing that everybody is out to get them, to destroy them. And so what they're doing is training the people to turn around and attack those that don't belong to the same club. And that needs to stop. Okay? Violence is not the answer. Verbal, physical, manipulation in any way, it is not the answer. We need to sit down with clear heads. We need to lay things out on the table. We need to have a conversation. We need to agree to disagree and look at how we can find a compromise. But we need to be grown-ups. Like, we can't even say that anymore because we look at what some of these grown-ups are doing. But we need to grow up. We do. We need to step up and grow up and rise up our loving vibration and come from a place of heart, right? Heart, not fear, not knee-jerk reaction, not out to get someone, but from the heart. Because if you ignite your heart and soul and spirit, that is the vehicle that you want to drive in, because that knowingly cannot hurt anyone else. To do so would be to hurt yourself. So let us see which way the wind blows, but I do feel this is a great time for us all just to pause for a moment and reflect. Have I bought into hysteria? Have I just taken things as a headline? Have I really given something thought and looked a little deeper into it? And in my own pain, am I inflicting pain on others? It doesn't get rid of your pain. It just shares your pain with others and makes more people painful. So we need more people joyful. That's something that's really, really important. More joy. And of course, if you need help on this journey, There are 3,700 shows here in self-discoverywisdom.com in all sorts of genres. You just go to the podcast tab and you see all of those banners of genres. And underneath that are shows of people that are here to help. Inspiration begets invitation, and there are many people here with some wonderful programs and skills and tools that can help you on your journey of healing. So you do have to listen, learn, and apply and walk your own journey, but there are many people along the way that can help you along the way with their skills, their tools, and their abilities. So let's rise up, folks. Let's rise up that consciousness. Let's rise up that accountability. Let's rise up our responsibility. Let's rise up to joy and love. And let's start calming these waters down, because we're going to obliterate ourselves if we don't stop the cycle. So until next time, folks, I wish everybody love, balance, caring, compassion, consideration, and the ability to listen. Until next time, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration, it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.